Okay, so today we're going deep, really deep, into some pretty wild stuff.
Yeah, wild's a good word for it.
We've got global tensions, economic forecasts that'll make your head spin, and even a touch of the seemingly impossible.
Definitely some head scratchers in this one.
And all this comes from, get this, excerpts from a YouTube video transcript. The title, Wizje Na Żywo okres nablizi, is from a channel called Jasno Wizje Krzysztof Jackowski Official.
That's right. Now, before we dive in, it's important to remember this is one perspective, one lens through which we're viewing all these complex issues.
Exactly. Our goal here isn't to say, yep, that's definitely happening, or nope, that's totally bogus. It's more about exploring this unique viewpoint and seeing what we can glean from it, what it might suggest about the world around us. Think of it like holding up a strange, kind of warped mirror to current events. The reflection might be distorted, but it could reveal some hidden angles, some anxieties, some possibilities we haven't considered.
I like that, the warp and mirror analogy.
So first up, let's talk geopolitics. Things are heating up, especially in Yemen, and the transcript dives right into that.
Yeah, the U.S. involvement there has really stirred the pot. China, Russia, and Iran, they're all issuing warnings against further escalation.
Yeah, it's like everyone's got their eyes on that region, like it's a tinderbox waiting for a spark.
Exactly. And what's interesting is the transcript connects this to the bigger picture, this idea of a multipolar world where these global powers are jostling for position. It's not just about Yemen, it's about the whole global chessboard.
And adding fuel to the fire, you've got Trump's warnings about the Houthi attacks on U.S. warships. He's threatening and I quote, terrible response towards Iran if these attacks continue.
That's some serious saber rattling. And, when you combine that with everything else going on, it's no wonder the transcript raises the specter of World War III.
I mean, that sounds dramatic, but when you see all these interconnected events, these strong reactions from major players, it makes you think, right, what if this localized conflict spills over?
What if it's the catalyst for something much bigger?
Exactly. Now, let's switch gears to the economy, specifically the U.S. economy, because the transcript suggests there's some real anxiety brewing.
Yeah, a lot of American analysts are worried about a stock market crash, a big one.
That always sends shivers down everyone's spine, right? Because it's not just Wall Street that feels the pain. It ripples out, affects jobs, investments, everything.
Absolutely. And on top of that, there's concern about the U.S. dollar weakening. And that, my friend, that hits everyone's wallets.
Yeah, imports get more expensive, your purchasing power takes a hit, it's a domino effect.
Now, here's where the transcript gets really interesting. It suggests that Trump might be intentionally disrupting the global economic order, and it's all about improving the U.S. situation, at least from his perspective.
Yeah, this is where things get a bit controversial. The transcript points to a news article, March 17th, no year given, but it describes Trump ending Russian oil sales to the EU.
And the implication is this wasn't just about pressuring Russia on Ukraine. It was a calculated move to shake up the global energy market, maybe even gain some advantage for the U.S.
Right. So what are we seeing here? Maybe a desperate attempt to cling to the U.S. dollar's dominance, or maybe, and this is just speculation, the beginnings of a whole new system.
A system that could benefit the U.S., but potentially at the expense of others. And that's the key takeaway for you listening. The rules of the game might be changing, and fast. Buckle up.
Now, hold on tight, because this is where the deep dive takes a sharp turn. We're going from geopolitics and economics to the afterlife.
Yeah, you heard that right, the afterlife.
This all starts with a comment from a listener about the present moment being all that exists. And this sparks a personal story from Krzysztof Jackowski about a deceased acquaintance. He describes a vision, for lack of a better term, of this person leaving his body, kind of moving away.
There's this sense of universal movement, and suddenly something's wrong. It's like the person's stuck in a park, distressed.
And what's crazy is that later, the speaker's talking to a neighbor, and it comes out that this deceased person used to live in a nurse's hotel, you guessed it, located in a park.
It's like his soul, or whatever you want to call it, was drawn back to a familiar place, a place with positive memories.
Chills, right. And the speaker interprets this as a sign, a glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, contact with those who've passed isn't entirely out of reach.
Now, whether you believe in that sort of thing or not, it's a fascinating story, and it speaks to a very human desire, this longing to connect with loved ones even after they're gone.
Absolutely. Okay, so buckle up again, another sharp turn. We're going from the afterlife to a business consultation.
This one's really intriguing. So the speaker meets with a businessman who's struggling. His trade's going downhill.
But what really catches the speaker's attention is the businessman's son. He's just sitting there, silent.
And out of nowhere, The speaker gets this strong intuition, this feeling that the son has two half-sisters and a deceased mother.
And guess what?
The son confirms it, every detail.
Talk about mind-blowing. It's like there's this hidden layer of perception, this intuition that goes beyond the surface, beyond logic.
And that leads us to a bigger question, one that's been debated for centuries. Destiny versus free will.
Do we have a predetermined path, or can we truly shape our own future?
The speaker suggests that some core aspects of our lives might be set, but that we still have the power of choice, the ability to influence many things through our actions.
So it's not as simple either. It's more nuanced than that. There's a balance between what might be destined and what we can actively change.
Right. Now, get ready for another unsettling prediction. This one's about a major earthquake in Italy.
And what's eerie is that the speaker had already predicted an earthquake in Italy, and it happened just days before this recording. People were so scared they were sleeping in the streets.
And now, he's doubling down, saying there's another one coming, a huge one, potentially felt in other countries.
So that's something to watch, something to be aware of.
Definitely. Now, brace yourselves, because we're about to dive into the deepest, most complex part of this whole deep dive. A forecast of a global economic meltdown.
And I'm not talking about a little dip, I'm talking a full-blown financial tsunami.
The speaker predicts a stock market crash, starting in the U.S., then sweeping through Asia like wildfire.
The root cause: massive amounts of what he calls unsecured assets. Basically, assets without any real backing, built on shaky foundations.
And when those foundations crumble, the whole structure comes crashing down.
But here's the kicker. The speaker suggests that America might launch something called uncovered assets, linked to certain cryptocurrencies.
And one of these cryptocurrencies, he predicts, could become a universal, intangible currency.
A new kind of money, not tied to any country or physical thing. It's a radical concept.
And it says other countries will resist it first, but then those burdened by debt, they'll have no choice but to join this new financial matrix.
It's like the whole global financial system gets rebooted, rewired.
And in this new system, traditional economic value, the things we produce, the things we trade, they become secondary.
It's all about the network, who controls it, who's connected, who's left out.
The speaker even connects this matrix idea to the rise of the internet, how we're spending more and more of our lives online.
It's like reality itself is becoming increasingly digital, and this financial matrix is a part of that shift.
Now, he brings in Elon Musk, specifically his network capabilities with Starlink. And he suggests that this might be why Trump keeps him close, sees him as a key player in this new financial order.
So is this a brilliant strategy for the U.S. or a risky gamble? The speaker acknowledges the dangers, but also suggests it might be necessary for the U.S. to maintain its global dominance.
It's a high-stakes game, that's for sure.
And then there's the possibility of other countries creating their own digital currencies. It's not like the U.S. has a monopoly on innovation.
Right, so we might see a multi-currency world, a financial ecosystem with multiple players.
And here's a thought-provoking idea. Maybe this whole shift is a way for heavily indebted nations like the U.S. to get out from under their debt, devalue the old currency, start fresh with a new system.
It's a bold move, and the consequences are hard to predict.
Okay, moving on from the grand economic picture, the transcript dives into some more specific concerns, starting with fuel disruptions.
Yeah, the speaker mentions a feeling, an intuition, about potential difficulties with oil and gasoline, maybe short-lived, but still disruptive.
And he connects this back to Trump's decision to halt Russian oil to the EU. Maybe that was an early sign of things to come.
A glimpse into a future where fuel is scarce, prices skyrocket.
Now, here's another prediction that raises eyebrows. Trump betraying Ukraine.
That's a strong word. And he backs it up by referencing Trump's past statements and actions regarding Ukraine.
It's like he's saying, don't be surprised if Trump throws Ukraine under the bus. It's a cynical view, but one that's worth considering given the unpredictable nature of international relations.
And then there's this whole concept of nationalization.
For those who don't know, it's basically the government taking control of private property.
And the speaker suggests that the U.S. might be moving in that direction. Not exactly like China, but maybe with a similar end goal.
He even hints at U.S. influence over Canada and Greenland.
It's like he's painting a picture of a more centralized U.S., with the government playing a bigger role in the economy, maybe even exerting more control over its neighbors.
So what would that look like in practice? More regulations, government-run industries. It's not entirely clear, but it definitely suggests a potential shift away from free market principles.
And then we come full circle, back to the possibility of contact with the deceased.
The speaker reiterates his belief that it's possible, but not something we can force.
It's like a door that might open, but we can't just barge through.
Okay, so towards the end, the transcript addresses some listener questions.
Yeah, there's a promise to focus on France and Paris in future discussions, with a warning about underlying tensions and a move away from peace in Europe.
And there's a really interesting take on artificial intelligence. The speaker compares it to understanding one's own personality, suggesting that it's just as elusive, just as mysterious.
There's also a mention of a hidden star in GTP's logo, a dismissal of concerns about the Polish stock market mirroring the U.S. crash, and a note that the topic of Mensa will be addressed later.
He also suggests that gold could still hold value in this new financial system. And importantly, he doesn't take sides on whether American, Russian, or Chinese influence is better.
It's about presenting the information, the different perspectives, without pushing any particular agenda.
So there you have it. We've explored geopolitical turmoil, a potential economic revolution, personal glimpses into the afterlife, and predictions that range from the unsettling to the utterly mind-blowing.
It's a lot to process, and again, it's just one perspective, one interpretation of events.
But it's a perspective that makes you think, that challenges your assumptions, that pushes you to consider different possibilities.
Absolutely. And as always, we encourage you to do your own research, to stay informed, and to form your own conclusions.
And on that note, here's a final question for you to ponder. Given this potential shift towards a network-dependent financial matrix and the increasing integration of technology into our lives, what does it mean for the future of value, of production, of reality itself? That's something we didn't fully explore today, but it's a crucial question as we navigate these uncertain times.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
Until next time, stay curious.
And stay informed.